We are focusing now on a new report from Family Carers Ireland, which has found the government has failed to fully deliver on any of its 34 commitments to family carers in its first year in office. The charity says in some cases, supports have actually worsened. So to discuss the findings and what they mean for carers here in Clare and indeed North Tip, I'm joined now by Care Support Manager for Clare and North Tipperary with Family Carers Ireland, Vicky Ward. Vicky, thank you for being with us this morning.
No problem, Alan. Thanks for having me on.
It doesn't make for particularly impressive reading, does it? Whilst, it's full delivery, but there is no full delivery on a single one of the 34 commitments made by the government. And in fact, the report says, as I mentioned, things have actually worsened in some areas. How concerning is the failure to fully deliver on any of the commitments, and that some have actually gone in the opposite direction, have regressed?
You see, what's concerning is these failures to deliver are impacting on people's lives every day. So day in, day out, the failure to deliver on any of the commitments is having a negative impact on family carers across our region in the West and across all carers in the country. So, the daily impact on people's lives cannot be measured.
I mean, you're working directly with carers every day. What are they telling you right now about the pressures that they're under?
So, I mean, one of the main things that we see on an almost daily basis is the difficulty in being able to receive home care or respite hours in the home, or indeed residential respite breaks. So there has been a significant number of nursing homes across the country closed since there was 11 nursing homes closed in 2024, and it's continued into 2025. Since 2018, there's been 70 closures across the country, and what we do know is that a higher proportion of those are across the West. So it just means that there's no beds available if somebody is looking for residential placement. And also then, when you couple that with the fact that it's really difficult to recruit and retain staff to deliver home care hours, and that's across all agencies. So we're experiencing that. All other agencies that deliver home care and respite hours in people's homes are having the same issues. And it's because there isn't enough value placed. There's money there to deliver the hours, but there isn't staff to deliver because it's not attractive for people to go into the role of delivering home care hours. And then two particular cases that came up for us recently locally in my region in the West is impacting respite requirements of people who are caring for children. So we had two families who desperately needed respite for their child, and they were offered respite in Monaghan. And these families were based in Sligo and Roscommon.
That's a bit of a trek, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like if they're going for a weekend and it's a 4-hour round trip, so you're losing half of the weekend in travel, and that's even if they can travel. If they financially can afford the round trip of 8 hours of driving to drop and collect, because transport is not included. And one of these families in particular, she has 4 children with additional needs, and a 4-hour round trip is not possible, and she had to decline the respite. Which,
must pain them to do, because respite is, as you've very well explained, hard to get a hold of. And we have had many family carers and those working in the sector on Morning Focus over the years, Vicky, and we always mention the surprise that more help isn't offered or isn't forthcoming, given how many people in this country are family carers. Well over 10% of the population, over 600,000 nationally, 19 million hours of unpaid care each week, is taking a lot of pressure off the government, but putting it on normal men and women nationwide. And the stress and strains, it must be very difficult for them to deal with, particularly when they feel like they're not getting support from their government.
Absolutely, and we all know that providing care, like 78% of family carers care for more than 90 hours a week. So they very rarely get a break. Some care 24/7. And it's the relentless nature of providing care, and it leads to physical and mental exhaustion. 72% of family carers have never received a respite break. So that's 72% of people never get a break from their caring role. And then what we see then is long-term illnesses and disabilities being experienced by the family carer themselves. Family carers have a really high incidence of back injuries. They suffer from anxiety and depression. Loneliness is a significant issue for many family carers. And then the constant worry. So family carers are constantly worrying about finances, the lack of services, and fear for the future for their loved ones. What's going to happen when they can no longer provide the care?
Some of the issues and challenges you've mentioned facing carers, I'm sure, are also typical ones facing carers in Clare. Are there any others that carers in this county are encountering? And are rural carers in general, Vicky, at a particular disadvantage when it comes to accessing services or respite?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's much harder to get respite. Like people want a choice in the respite that they can avail of as well. So a nursing home placement for a week is not an appropriate respite for every person. So to have the choice that maybe the best care for my loved one and to give me a break is respite in my home. You have no chance of getting respite in your home if you live in a really rural area, because there's just not enough home care workers in the area to deliver the respite hours. So people, even when they are being offered respite, it's maybe not respite that's appropriate to their needs or the needs and the wants of the person that they care for, because there isn't choice. There isn't the availability there for people to make a choice and to avail of the respite that suits their needs.
There has been some progress, for example, moves around the carers allowance means test, but I guess, look, as we've said, the overall picture is one of limited or indeed no progress or regression indeed. And now the government might argue, look, change takes time, particularly when you're looking at 34 different commitments. What would you say to that?
Change does take time, and it is the first scorecard in the lifetime of this government. So what we're saying very clearly is, again, we're coming up to the time of year where we're going to be releasing our pre-budget submission. We're in the final stages of drafting that now, and it addresses, so our pre-budget submission will address many of the challenges and difficulties that are experienced by family carers across the whole of Ireland. And we're going to be hosting pre-budget meetings with local politicians and family carers. So we're going to launch the pre-budget submission locally, and we will be calling on all of the local political representatives to attend, to meet with carers, to hear how these things impact their daily life, their ability to function in society, to have time to themselves. And then we'll be looking for assurances that progress will be made across all of the areas. So we have to remember all of those 34 commitments. It's not 34 commitments that we thought of. It's 34 commitments that the government made in the programme for government. So it's the government's commitments, they're not ours, and we're just asking them to uphold the commitments that they made.
Well, no doubt you will be keeping a close eye on them and whether they do manage to deliver, particularly around Budget 2027. I'm sure we'll be speaking to you, if not before then, in the immediate aftermath to see if they have delivered. But for the moment, Vicky Ward, the Family Carers Ireland Care Support Manager for Clare and North Tipperary, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.